Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am literally so excited. I've been preparing this challenge for you guys over the past couple of weeks. So I'm going to get straight off. Hi to somebody that I'm not sure who it is because it's not showing me. It just says Facebook user. So hello, I'm not sure who you are. So thank you so much for joining me. I have created this 3-day challenge so that you can kickstart your relationship with food. So the aim of the next 3 days is for you to evaluate where you are and reconnect with yourself and with food. And if you, like me, have spent years dieting, then it's definitely time for you to create a better relationship with food and yourself. So we've got a lot to cram in over the next 3 days, and I will introduce myself properly and go through my story because I know that I don't know all of you properly. But before I do that, I'm just going to go through a couple of other things. So first of all, I want to ask you to commit to sorry, my screen's not, there we go. So to commit to the challenge, okay? To take this time for you to really just commit and indulge yourself in this challenge, because I know we all lead really, really busy lives, and we probably, you might be watching a computer but checking your phone at the same time, or watching the telly and doing something else at the same time. And I know it's hard to take time out for yourself, but I really invite you to gift yourself the next 45 minutes or so while we go through this challenge, so that you can really focus and really learn. And I've put one of my favorite quotes up there, which is, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And I do totally believe that. If you do, if you half make your bed, and you just kind of pull the covers over, then, you might half tidy the kitchen and half do your paperwork. So gift yourself this time to just fully immerse in yourself. Don't just half do it, do the challenge. Really, really, really go for it. See it as self-care, if you like. And I know we hear that term bandied around all of the time, and we put everybody else before ourselves, but really everybody else will get the best of you if you're the best of you. So this is about you getting to the best place you can with yourself and your relationship with food. And although I'm going to teach you this, and there's another saying, knowledge is power, knowledge is only power if you take action. So I really want you to do the challenges that I'm going to set out for you. So drop me a smiley face if you're up for this challenge. Drop me a smiley face in the comments if you are ready to take part. Are you ready to take part? Drop me a smiley face in. Okay, I'm waiting for your comments to come through. Yay, I've got lots of smiley faces. They've all just hit me. Brilliant, fantastic. Okay, so the other thing I want you to do is be accountable to each other and participate within the group just like you're doing now, because together we are stronger. And there is definitely proof that working as a team, working as a group, you will be stronger. I have spent 16 years working with groups of ladies around their relationship with foods, and being accountable to each of that just makes such a difference. Okay, so we're going to be accountable to each other, and there are going to be prizes. So if you take part, and if you are doing the challenges and posting in the group what you've done with the challenge, what you've achieved, then Facebook is very, very clever, because it tells me who has taken part the most. Okay, so the prizes are, the top prize is a mindfulness hamper, which is worth just under £50, and you get a journal, a gratitude journal, a candle, you get some essential oil, you get a multivitamin hydration morning elixir, you get bath salts, you get Belgian dark chocolate, you get affirmation cards and gourmet sweets. Okay, so that's the first prize. The second prize is a £30 Amazon gift card, and the third prize is a £15 Amazon gift card. So that is for you if you are participating and if you complete all the challenges. And if it's a tie, we'll just draw names out on Friday. So let's get cracking. So every craving has a positive intention, and I know in my experience, when I'm working with people, they get really frustrated that they want some food, that they want something. So I just want you to consider this statement, that every craving has a positive intention. If you've had a really difficult day and you are craving some chocolate, then that is, at the moment, the best way that you have learnt to deal with a difficult situation. At the moment, your mind believes that that is a sensible answer. And really it is, because chocolate does make you sometimes feel better in the moment. It might not make you feel better, the next day when you regret how much you've eaten, but it does make you feel better in the moment. So every craving does have a positive intention. So I want you to start appreciating, if you're feeling unbalanced, that you are trying to level up, and that is why you're craving something. Okay, now the next thing I just want you to think about is, what is your long-term goal? Is it weight loss, or is it peace with food? Now, the reason I always ask this question is because I think that we all tend to come from a place of needing to lose weight. And if you're here and you don't want to lose weight, you just want a peaceful relationship with food, that's absolutely brilliant. I'm not suggesting that we all need to lose weight, but I just want you to consider, what is your long-term goal? And the reason I ask this is because even though I lost 6.5 stone, I realised recently that I still wasn't at peace, complete peace with food. And I really thought I was. But if I could wave a magic wand right now and take everybody to a weight they were really comfortable with, where they were dreaming of being with, would you... Sally said, weight release, I don't want to lose it and it finds me again. Okay, great. Thank you, Sally. So we need to let it go for good. So what I find is, people want the weight loss, but they get there and then they are still battling daily with food. So then we become kind of juggling food to try and stay at that weight. And that is why I think it is important for the goal to be have a happy relationship with food, a peaceful relationship with food. Michelle said, I was literally about to say a happy relationship with food. So whatever you were thinking, I encourage you to make that your goal, to have peace with food rather than the weight loss. Because if you have peace with food, the weight loss will come. It will happen, because you will fall into a natural rhythm and you won't be fighting it. And when I say fighting it, I mean if you are fighting a diet that you're on, if you are, feeling in deprivation because you're not able to eat what you want to eat. Okay, so when we get to that peaceful relationship with food, the weight takes care of itself. Okay, so let me introduce myself before I go any further, because I know there's some of you watching that I have never met before. So who am I? I'm Jenny McDonald. That first photo of me was when I was 12 years old. As you can see, I developed a very, very tricky relationship with food from a very young age. I was taken into hospital when I was about 4 or 5, and I was quite underweight. And I'd say up until that point, my relationship with food was okay. But when I came out and I was fed and my parents kept praising me for eating, I quickly learned that I was a good girl if I ate all the food. And I think that was probably where things started to change from me. And I also felt safe that I was going to stay out of hospital if I kept eating. So because I became very overweight by the time I was kind of 8 or 9, and I also had a medical condition at that time which I didn't know about, which is lipedema. Um, Thank you, Sally. My mum started to try and help me lose weight, and she did try everything, bless her. But unfortunately, because she was trying to restrict my food to help me lose weight, without realizing I was then secret eating. Okay, so I was taking money out of her purse and going to the shop and buying chocolate and sitting and eating it in my room without her knowing. So I spent many years, if you like, battling that kind of love-hate relationship with food. So I tried everything. I joined Weight Watchers. I remember joining Weight Watchers when I was about 12 years old with my nan and my mum, and something called Weight Care as well. I tried Slimming World. Didn't really get on with that one. I couldn't get my head around that. I did the Atkins diet for a while. I tried something called Lipo Trim through the doctors, which was a meal replacement program, and also Xenical, which was weight loss reduction tablets that meant to stop you eating, basically. Sorry, the Xenical and Reductil, two different things. So my journey to food freedom. At the age of 26, I embarked on a very low calorie diet. And I'm glad this is resonating with you, Michelle. Thank you. Very low calorie diet. Many of you know that I completed Lighter Life, and it did change my relationship with food. I lost 6.5 stone in 6 months. But what was important to me was the counselling aspect, where you started to understand your behaviour around food. I also at that point discovered that I got lipedema. That picture there is my legs. I was a size 10 at the top and my legs still look like that. And no matter how much more weight I tried to lose, my legs didn't change shape. So it was after seeing 4 different specialists, the first 3 who told me to lose more weight, the 4th one diagnosed me with lipedema. And if anybody doesn't know what lipedema is, it's basically an abnormal collection of fat cells. Usually comes on in puberty, which is kind of explains why my weight really went kind of at the age of 11, 12, 13, really went out of control. Because I had lipedema and my legs kind of became this shape, which was awful for me at school. But it also exacerbates with kind of hormone changes. So in pregnancy, I found that my lipedema grew, and I'm dreading the menopause, basically. So basically, that is me. And I'm going to try and keep talking quickly because I want to get to the challenge rather than talk about myself. But I just wanted you to have a little bit of a background with where I'm coming from. Now, just a little mention about beliefs, because I think at that point in my journey, that was when my beliefs changed. Until that point, I totally believed that I would be overweight for the rest of my life. And I don't know where you are at the moment, but many of the ladies that I work with, they come with the belief that nothing is going to work. They come with the belief that they will always struggle with food. So feel free to drop me a comment if you have, what do you tell yourself? Where are you right now? Do you believe that you can have a healthy relationship with food? Or do you say in general conversation, yeah, I'll always struggle with food. Yeah, I'll always have to watch what I eat. Yeah, I always want the worst things. Yes, I only like cake, or I just love cake, and this is the problem. And, is that what you are currently telling yourself? Because if it is, what you have to think is everything Thank you, Lainey. What you have to think is everything you believe has an effect on how you feel, your thoughts, and how you behave. So if you believe that you will always be overweight, then you will constantly have thoughts like, I'm always hungry, I can't control myself around food. So on a daily basis, your subconscious is telling you that, to choose differently because this is how it is, that you will always struggle. And if you're listening to those thoughts, then you are going to feel this way. You're going to feel like you always struggle. You are going to feel hungry. You are going to feel, more cravings. And then your behavior is to obviously go and eat high calorie, high fat, high sugar foods. And the thing is with your beliefs is they usually set quite often from a very early age, but we can collect beliefs along the way. But when you have a belief, what you do is you continuously find evidence to prove that belief is right. And let me give you an example of this. A lot of people that I work with say, I can't lose weight. And when I ask them whether that's true, I say, have you ever lost weight before? And they always say, oh yeah, I lost 3 stone with Weight Watchers. I lost 3 stone with Slimming World. I lost 3 stone with this diet. And I'm like, that's really interesting. So you can lose weight. But they've kind of ingrained it into their cells that they cannot lose weight. This is what they've told themselves, that they cannot lose weight. So their belief is they cannot lose weight, even though they have lost weight. But then what they do is they regain it. They prove that this belief is true. And we just kind of go round on this cycle. So if you believe you're always overweight, then your thoughts will be that you're always hungry, that nothing fills you up. How might you feel then when it comes to dieting? You'll probably feel that, it's a struggle, that it's hard work. And then your behavior is to fall off the diet and to overeat. And we'll talk a bit more about diets and whether they work and things later on. So I'll just go back to the comments. So yeah, emotional eater. Yes, me too. I've been hungry all day because I've been nervous about this challenge, funnily enough. The difference is it's learning to recognize it, which I'm guessing that you probably do because you are aware and commenting that you're an emotional eater. But also it's having strategies in place to be okay with feeling emotions and not eating, which we're going to talk about over the next three days. Sally says, I only struggled since I hit the menopause 10 years ago. Yeah, that's it. Again, lots of the ladies I work with, they've been slim all the way through their lives until that hormone change with the menopause. And Michelle says, so true, lost 6 stone too, but feeling stuck now. Yeah, losing weight when you self sabotage. Michelle, if you want to start tracking your thoughts, it's something I really, really encourage. Start just kind of being aware of what you're telling yourself. Just keep a little diary, and when you get to the end of the day, just jot down what sort of thoughts are going through your head when you're eating or when you're even thinking about food. It's really, really helpful. Ben and Jerry's fish food craving during pregnancy never went away. You'd like to lose the baby weight and the Ben and Jerry's weight. Well, hopefully I can help you with that, Lainey. Okay, so so I invite you to think about what beliefs you are telling yourself. And as I just said to Michelle, it's worth just trying to start to notice them and jot them down, because it is your beliefs that are keeping you stuck. And everything you think will have a knock-on effect to how you feel and how you behave. And funnily enough, one of my beliefs until the start of this year was that I would always struggle with food. So even though I was successfully maintaining a fairly healthy weight, I would say to people, but I will always struggle, but I have to work hard to keep it off. And it was only that recently I upskilled and I retrained as a health and life coach. And it was through my training that I realized that I was still telling myself these things and I was still stuck in the dieting cycle. I didn't even know. When I say stuck in the dieting cycle, I was using various methods to really undereat Monday to Friday lunchtime so that I could eat at the weekend. And I was in quite a destructive cycle without even realizing it. I told myself that was my way of managing weight. And yes, it worked. I was managing my weight, but I still had quite a tricky relationship with food. And I think it's even more because of this revelation. The more I learn on the health coaching course, that I've become even more passionate about sharing this. So just to finish off about myself and why I'm kind of qualified to deliver this challenge. So after losing all my weight, I trained in cognitive behavior therapy and transaction analysis, and I've worked in weight loss change and behavior change for 16 years. For 10 years, I ran groups which were a little bit like AA for foodies, if you like, closed groups, no more than 12 ladies in a group. And we work through activities to change our behavior with food. And what was really good about the groups is you become accountable to each other, which is what I'm trying to create in this group. And by being accountable to each other, you kind of spur each other on, and you hold each other accountable for what you want to achieve. And it's very, very different to having a friend that you're accountable to. Because I don't know about you, but my best friend, we're cake buddies. I don't think she's watching tonight, but we would quite easily lead each other astray and go on, let's eat the cake. So I've worked in the weight loss industry with various weight loss companies for the past 16 years, but more so in changing our relationship with food. I still work for a weight loss company as well as running my own, running this. So I'm not anti-diet. But I do think diets have their place, but I also think that they don't work for everybody. And I will tell my clients if I think it's not working for them, and I will suggest they take a break from it. And I don't want to force people to stick to a diet when it isn't working for them. So, I also have a podcast, and I know some of you have found me through my podcasts, which I started last October because I just wanted to spread the word and share with as many people as I can. So let's think about the truth about weight loss, which is what we're going to talk about tonight before we go on to making friends with yourself. So, I don't know if you ask yourself the question, why is losing weight so difficult for me? So if you don't, maybe think about that question. Why is losing weight so difficult? Because I'm going to go through why it is so difficult, and hopefully this will reassure you that whatever efforts, and I know that you will have all tried so hard to get this right with food, whatever efforts you've put in, I am sure you've put every effort in, and it will be these reasons why you might be a little bit stuck. So, first of all, the reward is always the weight loss. Now, we focus on the weight loss when not on changing our relationship with food. And what happens is when the scales don't show us what we want them to say, we tend to comfort ourselves with eating. So then the next week, the scales don't show what they want to say because we've eaten more and we've gone off track with our diet. And kind of like when the reward is just the scales, we're placing all of our, everything on that weigh-in at the end of the week. Okay. So I encourage you, first of all, to change your reward at the end of the week rather than the scales. Make your reward be how great you're feeling, how that you've managed to stop secret eating or that you haven't binged for 7 days. Make that your reward rather than the scales, okay? Because the scales are so unpredictable. You all know, I'm sure, that our weight can vary greatly, not only throughout the day, but throughout the week. So the next reason is because we have a human brain, okay? Your brain, it's primal. You've got a primal brain that its job is to keep you alive, okay? And in order to stay alive, you need to eat, you need fuel. So you are motivated to eat. You are motivated to experience pleasure when you eat, and you are motivated to avoid pain. So when I say avoid pain, and we'll talk about emotional eating in a moment, but to avoid uncomfortable feelings, that might be to eat. So our brain is like, I want to avoid the pain, therefore if I eat, I can avoid having that pain. Okay. Your body is made to store excess fat in order to survive. So if you put too much in, it wants to store that because it don't know if there's going to be a time of famine. So that is one of the reasons. If we didn't eat, we would die. Okay. To avoid pain, years and years ago, that would have been to avoid being attacked by maybe a wild animal or something. Nowadays, it's to avoid uncomfortable emotions. The brain, as I say, the brain desires food. When we eat, we have a small amount of dopamine that's released, and that tells us it's give us pleasure. Okay. But we have a different amount from different types of food. So if you have a chicken breast or an apple, then that small amount of dopamine is released and we are satisfied, and the brain kind of goes, yeah, that's it. That was nice. It was pleasurable. Sugary, high calorie, high fat foods, processed foods, they have a much higher concentration of things like sugar, and therefore our brain sees that as even more pleasurable. And then it likes the food. It kind of goes, oh, that was really, really good. And it remembers it. So it wants to eat it again. And then it craves this type of food. And I talked about this in one of my videos about the blood sugar roller coaster. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I just want you to kind of just take note of that. So depending on which type of foods, and you probably already recognize that when you eat something sweet, you can want more of it. The food manufacturing industry, now they are very, very clever. It's a massive, massive business, and they want to ensure that their food is as tasty as it can be, and they actually spend thousands of pounds making sure they have the right mix of fat and sugar in their food to make our brains want more, to make it pleasurable, to give us that dopamine release and make us go back for more. Okay, so that's the first view. Let me just go back to, our body doesn't work properly when we overeat. So when you are constantly overeating, it's quite often you are on the blood sugar roller coaster. And when you're on this, your body is just not working in the same way. If you're on the blood sugar roller coaster, your body can't produce the hormone called glucagon, which is what would help you burn excess glucose stored in your fat cells. So then your body lays down those fat cells to store. And I'm going to talk tomorrow about how your body stores fat when you're stressed as well. Okay. So your mood is also affected, which I'd not put on that list. But when you're on the blood sugar roller coaster, your mood is up and down just with your blood sugars. And you go through that cycle of eating, craving, eating, craving. And that's a mental and a cycle in your brain and in your body. So also, when it comes to weight loss, we have the pressures of eating socially. We have cultural pressures, and it's become acceptable. It's become the norm to overeat. You know, when we go out for food, we are faced with big portions. We are faced, you know, how many of you have ordered a starter somewhere and it's that big that it's like a main course, and then you don't want your actual meal, but you still eat it because you've paid for it, and you're still going to have dessert because you have dessert because you're out for a meal. The portions have become so big, and it has become the norm to overeat. It's become the norm to go to the cinema and eat lots of sweets or popcorns or hot dogs. Everything we do revolves around food. Then we've got the habits. We've developed lots of habits, whether that be weekend treats, whether that be a biscuit with your cuppa, whether that's having a sandwich but having crisps with it. And none of these are actually an issue on their own. But when we're doing them all together, they all add up, and it leads to lots and lots of indulgence. Then we've got health conditions. So, for example, my lipedema, that was a collection of fat cells that no amount of diet or exercise, unfortunately, can get rid of. And there's only other methods that can take that away. So, and there are other health conditions and gut conditions where it may hinder you to lose weight. Okay. And then finally, and I haven't put it on there, but I added it in, diets. Diets are great if they work, if you are in a good place mentally. But what tends to happen is we go on a diet because we want to lose weight, and quite often it will be for an occasion or for a holiday, and it's like, oh, I've got 8 weeks left, I need to do something, and what I call white knuckle it. So we are holding on for dear life, thinking, please let me stick to this, till I go on holiday. And usually we are in a state of deprivation. So we are constantly believing, you remember our thoughts, feelings, behavior. We are believing that we are deprived. We're telling ourselves that once we get to the end, we can eat that takeaway. You know, how many of you have been on a diet and on every day on weigh day, you eat a big meal because it's like your payoff. It's like I have a cheat day. So when we're dieting, we're kind of deprived, we're under eating, and then we're overeating and under eating and overeating. And there's this whole kind of cycle going on where our body's getting mixed up. And there's even been research where your body can kind of adapt. It's being proven that your body can kind of adapt to being on lower calories. So eventually it just gets used to. Remember, our bodies are really, really clever, and they are built to survive. So when you are constantly, under eating, and being on and off diets, and I don't mean doing one diet for a set amount of time, but I mean, if you've been on and off diets for years and years and years, your body can kind of get used to, actually doesn't give me a lot of calories, therefore I've got to learn to survive on less calories because otherwise I'm going to waste away. It's called metabolic adaptation. So we're now fighting that, ladies, as well, because if you're like me and you've been doing this for years, you kind of, you are fighting that whole list and metabolic adaptation. Okay, now the reason I have shared all of this with you is not to make you feel that this task is too big. It is to make you think and understand and be kind to yourself, because it's no wonder it's difficult. It really isn't any wonder it's difficult. if you are struggling to lose weight, you are not alone. 93 to 95% of people, they lose weight and put their weight back on within 5 years. Most people within a year. And I do wonder, especially now I've realised how destructive I was still being with food, how many of those who are maintaining actually have found peace with food, actually have a healthy relationship with food. And I know there's people that have contacted me who are of a healthy weight, but they are still struggling with a healthy relationship with food. Okay. So there is a way. It's okay. There is a way. So let's go on to the first part of the challenge. What I invite you to do is think about making friends with yourself. Okay. Now, some of you might already be at this point, which is absolutely great, but I'm starting at the basics because in my experience, a lot of people that I work with are really, really angry and frustrated with themselves, and angry and frustrated with, with the world and with food, because it feels like so it's so overwhelming, isn't it, when you can't get a grip, and particularly when you might be surrounded with other people, whether that's in your house or in your friendship group, and they're okay with food. That's really, really difficult because you can feel quite alone and frustrated with people that just seem to eat what they want and never kind of gain weight and never seem to struggle. So step one is accepting that you are where you are. And there's a great saying, it is, you are exactly where you are meant to be. And over the years of dieting and whatever your relationship with food has been, you will have learned so much about yourself. Okay. So I'm not going to do this as part of the challenge, but something I do with my clients is I ask them to think about what have you learned from all of the years of dieting? What have you learned that works for you? What way of eating works for you? What types of food agree with you? What foods give you energy? What foods make you feel good that don't leave you bloated? And I'm sure that you have tuned into your body enough to know that. And if you don't, then you can start thinking about that and start journaling and working out where you are with food. So accepting that you're meant to be here. This is absolutely okay. Whatever life has thrown at you so far, this is where you are. We can't change that. We can't go back in time, but we can accept it and be okay with it, and we can move forward. And I know for some this will be easy, but for others this can be really, really difficult. But this is 100% the first step if you haven't done this. I have seen people lose and gain weight 3 or 4 times with me because they can't let go of the anger and frustration that they feel with food. So let it go. Make your peace with food, okay? Being grateful for your body, your knowledge and your strength. Let's think about it. Your body is absolutely incredible. Look at everywhere your body has taken you. Yeah. Look at some of the tricky situations your body's got you into. Okay. For some of you, your body is giving you the most amazing gift of children. Yeah. For some of you, your body's been through operations, injuries, illness, and it's survived. Sorry, this makes me feel emotional. We've all survived a global pandemic this year. Yeah, it's time to thank your body. Yeah, be grateful. I watched some training with a guy last week, and he had one arm and no legs, and he was literally so inspirational. And it just really makes you think of how cross we are and how frustrated we get with our bodies. And yet there's this guy here with no legs and one arm, and he's just like so grateful to be alive and so inspirational. So I invite you to, really thank your body for where you are. And when we show gratitude, we focus on what we do have. We don't focus on what we haven't got. And I think a lot of time with when we're frustrated with our weight, we are focusing on what we haven't got. I haven't got legs to wear that skirt. I haven't got arms that I want to wear a strappy top with. I haven't got a belly that I can show off in a bikini. So rather than focusing on what you haven't got, focus on what you're grateful for about your body. Yeah, how amazing it is. And then finally getting ready to move forward. So it really is a case of what are you willing to do to move forward? What efforts are you willing to put in? And I don't mean starving yourself. I mean self-development work, because there is no point starting something that you don't really want to do. So, one of the first questions you should always ask is, what am I willing to do? What am I willing to put in? And remember, think about your thoughts and your feelings and your behavior, because if you are saying to yourself that, you don't really want to do it, then how do you feel about that? If you're saying you're doing something you don't really want to do, and how are you likely to behave? Okay, so the challenge is to write yourself a love letter. Okay, going through the points that I have just gone through. If you are not comfortable in writing a whole love letter, that's absolutely fine. Maybe just choose a couple of these sentences to start with. Okay, dear me, if you like. I want you to reconnect with your inner self. We all have our own inner guidance, our own system that guides us, and this is your personal power. But we get so wrapped up in life that we forget to tap into our personal power. Okay, so what do you need to accept? Okay, I accept where I am. I accept that, whatever has gone on with your weight, your relationship with food in the past, what is it? What do you need to forgive, or who do you need to forgive to completely let go and reclaim your personal power? Okay, I let go. What do you need to let go of? And remember, you can choose some of these sentences if you don't want to do all of them. I am grateful for. So, what are you grateful for in terms of your body and where you are right now? And I am ready to. So, what are you ready to do? What do you want to focus on this week, this month, to move forward with your relationship with food? It might be, I'm ready to start keeping a diary, start journaling and thinking about how I think when I am making decisions around food. Okay, so I want you to do that. Hopefully you've all made notes, but I can post that slide in the group after this challenge is finished. And then you can sign off, love me, or however you want to sign off your letter, and share it in the group. So, so write it, keep it in the group. And if you don't want to share a whole letter, just share a sentence, so that we can see that you've done your part of the challenge. So, and lastly, I just want you to start thinking, and I'll come back to this, but why? What's your reason why? Why is this really important to you? There's 12 of you still watching. 12 of you have taken 45 minutes to listen to this challenge. So you obviously really, really want to do this. So why? What is your why? What difference, if you change your relationship with food starting today, what difference does it make to your life? What difference? Who does it impact? And how does it change the way you feel, the way you behave, the way you act? Okay, so I want you to think about that as well. Okay, so write it down, keep it so you can refer to it. So please post in the group, but please make a note either in a journal or on your phone or something, so you've got it to refer to. And I will just go through any more comments. If anyone's got any questions before we sign off, let me know. Dervla says, I really enjoy making good Italian food and eating it. And that's absolutely fine. Something that I've learnt is that we should all enjoy what we enjoy. And whether that's Italian food, whether that's, a takeaway, but it's just getting to a better place with food where you are eating the right amount for your body and you are eating a variety of food that works for you. So we'll talk about what is the perfect meal on day 3 of the challenge. Sasha, you're welcome. Thank you, Michelle. Where do we post the letter? So if you can either take a photo of it and post it in the group if you're writing it by hand, or you can just type it into the comments in the group, and just share it with us. Thank you, Ellie. I know you're doing really, really well with your weight loss. Congratulations. I know you've hit your 6 stone, but I hope you found that really, really helpful. Michelle, I needed this. Thank you, Michelle. I'm so glad it resonated with you. Nadine, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm glad you found it useful. I'm really, really appreciate you all taking the time to watch this. Thanks, Lee. And I'm so glad that this is resonating and that you are going to get something out of this. So that is step 1. I will post the slide so that you know what to do. You're very welcome. And I will see you all at 7:30 tomorrow. Have a lovely, lovely evening and enjoy writing your love letter. Take care, guys.